Yep, just as I said, episode 6 was crazy. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Turnout. I am your host Aloy. Don't forget to check out our website at usaaudiences.com, where you can sign up for special event and movie screening invites. So this episode had a lot going on. Hopefully everybody else is caught up and you're not just like watching this one out of order, because this is going to spoil so many things if you haven't. But this episode is still them trying to track down Macy, and does actually kind of conclude some of the storylines that we've been kind of building up to. So I'm pretty excited about this. So let's dive into this, but before we do, don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification, so you always know when we put out new videos. Okay, cool. That was obligatory, but let's move on. Okay, so this episode starts off with Harry, Maggie, and Mel trying to figure out where Macy is and how they can get to him. They have like the location, but it's like, oh, it's in Manhattan. It's just like, well, let's just go there. It's like, well, you know, New York's a big town, so I mean, that's not gonna help out. But the biggest thing here that we learn very early on in the episode is that the Dark Harry has a master. This is gonna go somewhere in a second, you'll see. Then we flash to the present, and now they're trying to find Macy. So the episode is kind of split up into two, and then gets split up into a third one, and this is something that obviously happens a lot in Charmed. There's so many characters kind of running around doing different things that there's gonna be a lot of different storylines. So one storyline is Macy with Dark Harry, and Dark Harry is trying to basically pull a misery on Macy. It's kind of crazy. You know, he's trying to pretend that everything is nice, and then she figures it out and tries to escape, and then it becomes like where they're talking back and forth, and he's like, I'm not that evil, but maybe I am. She's like, but you have a master, I can tell, because otherwise you'd be doing this and this. It's actually a really fun kind of psychological back and forth that they have with each other, where you can actually see that Macy is seeing the humanity in the Darklighter, understanding why he's trying so hard to not just go back into the bottle. Because it's kind of like a genie in Aladdin, right? It's like, they're like, oh my gosh, like, it's really, really tiny living space in that bottle. So it does bounce back and forth from everybody trying to look for Macy, and that's what's happening with Macy. But the sisters and Harry, they're like, well, the only thing that we have that we can do is use Maggie's new power of Foresight. Let's go ahead and see if we can find a way for her to activate that. And she's like, I don't know how to do it. The only time that it ever works is when I touch Jordan. So they get up and they do like a karaoke where she's using the excuse of like also holding the mic along with Jordan as a reason to be like touching him. They both have amazing singing voices, Jordan and of course Maggie does, because she's in the Descendant movies, so she's like all about the musicals and the singing and stuff. So I was like, oh, I was not surprised that she knew how to sing, but his voice was actually really, really good. But she only gets a glimpse, but they're like, all right, we didn't get enough there, so we need to figure out another way for us to, you know, get a hold of Jordan and touch him everywhere, which is how Harry said it, which was pretty funny. How was she supposed to do that without getting arrested? So Mel had a spell of a potion of some sort that would short out the elevator so that the two of them would get kind of trapped in the elevator together, and it worked, which is great, but it set off like all the power like in the whole like city block. So worked a little bit too well, because then Maggie couldn't come back out afterwards. So Maggie is now sidelined, but she did have a long conversation with Jordan about the ring and how it was like handed down in his family and it should have magical powers. But it wasn't every time that she was touching him, it was every time she was touching this ring. But this time she touches the ring, and then like bam, she knows exactly where to go find Macy, or at least to go to the next spot to find Macy. And so Harry and Mel go there. They run into a demon who they have to play poker against. It's weird how interesting people think poker is when it's really not that interesting. Hey screenwriters, stop using poker as a thing. It's not as interesting as you think it is. And it's kind of nonsensical a little bit as well. So anyway, that's me being personal. Like, stop doing that one, and stop doing the having a subordinate shave somebody in power and not slit their throat. The first time that these things were done in a movie or a TV show, I'm sure that they were like groundbreaking, but it's old hat now. Anyway, moving on. They win the poker match, and they get the address to go and save Macy. And then Harry fights Dark Harry, which was a really good fight. I was surprised at how well trained, I guess, both of them were in fighting, because like you would think that Harry would be, because he wasn't stuck in a bottle for millennia at this point. So like he's probably been training and fighting and learning and stuff, but like the Darklighter just like all of a sudden comes out and knows how to fight. I don't know, that's just me. But Harry does win and stabs the Darklighter, and he turns into mist and goes away. But before that, Macy actually offers up Abigail to whoever Harry's master is and says, yeah, you know, I will give him Abigail. And Dark Harry says, I didn't say he was a he. And I was like, oh gosh, you just offered Abigail to herself because she is obviously the master of Dark Harry. It's shaping up, oh my gosh, it is going back to her being the Dark Master again, but she's not the Dark Master of all demons, she's now the Dark Master, the master of the Darklighter. It's all a play on words, people. I'm telling you what's going on here. Harry defeats Dark Harry and he flitters away into smoke. And once that happened, they start talking. They're like, well, is he gone? Well, he appears to be gone and all that stuff. I'm like, dude, he stabbed you 5 episodes ago and you woke up in your grave. Why wouldn't the same thing happen to him? And then at the very end of the episode, he forms again in his grave and he's like, ooh, I'm gonna come back for you. And it's just like, well, yeah, of course that's what would happen. Like, why wasn't that obvious? Anyway, the episode was like really good. Had me on the edge of my seat the whole time. With Dark Harry now coming back, we now know that he has a master, so the master's probably going to come into play. I can't wait to see the next episode, episode 7. Whew, this episode, When Sparks Fly, yeah, definitely some sparks flew in this episode. So definitely really, really interested in what's going to go forward, and hopefully you guys are enjoying these reviews. If you are, hit like, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification. And I am your host, Aloy. This has been The Turnout. Thanks for showing up.